A privacy campaigner says she has no more faith in the new press regulator than the old one. Hannah Weller, founder of the Campaign for Children's Privacy, is married to the musician Paul Weller, the former frontman from the Jam and the Style Council. She was giving evidence to a group of MPs, which is looking at the system for dealing with complaints. Alicia McCarthy was watching.
Paul and Hannah Weller took legal action after their twins and one of Paul Weller's teenage daughters were photographed on a family holiday. Mrs. Weller told the Culture Committee that her husband had asked the photographer to stop taking pictures, but he'd carried on and the images were later published on the Mail Online website. The couple took their case to court and eventually won. The Conservative who chairs the committee, John Whittingdale, wondered why they hadn't gone to the then press regulator.
You didn't make a complaint to the Press Complaints Commission?
No.
Why not?
Because I feel that when my children are potentially being harmed by the behaviour of the press, I feel that it's a bigger issue than regulation. I wouldn't feel, at the time I didn't have any faith in the Press Complaints Commission or that they would do anything about it or that their response would be effective. And I felt that it was a matter for the law. I felt that they had broken the law and therefore it was natural for us to approach our lawyers as opposed to a regulator.
Mrs. Weller has launched a campaign to protect children's privacy. She wants the media to get consent before publishing pictures of youngsters or to pixelate faces so they can't be identified. But as Labour's Steve Rotherham pointed out, the idea hasn't been universally welcomed.
You've received a bit of stick in certain sections of the media over the campaign, and indeed the Vice President of the NUJ criticised your proposals about parental control, arguing that photos of children singing in concerts and meeting Father Christmas wouldn't be able to be published.
But Hannah Weller insisted the key was consent, identification and public interest.
If it's just a crowd shot of a park or something with children playing and they're not the main focus of the image or they're not identified, there's no direct risk posed to that child and therefore that would be exempt. Also, if there could be demonstrated a strong public interest, that would be exempt also. But consent is key. So if the publisher can seek consent from the parents, then fine, go ahead. If not, all we're asking is that they pixelate the face.
Following the phone hacking scandal and the Leveson inquiry, a new regulator, IPSO, the Independent Press Standards Organisation, has been created. Labour's Paul Farrelly asked if Hannah Weller had more faith in that.
IPSO is just the PCC all over again.
So again, nothing changes. You don't see it as credible enough?
I don't have any more faith in the current regulator than I had in the Press Complaints Commission.
When pressed to explain why, Hannah Weller said there were some of the same staff, they still worked from the same office, and it didn't feel to her like there'd been a big overhaul or that this was a very different organisation.
And just from my point of view with my campaign and with children being exposed without consent, I still see this happening. I've seen this happening in the last 6 months.
Later, the committee heard from Sir Alan Moses, the chairman of IPSO. The press self-regulation body started work in September. A Conservative, Tracy Crouch, wondered,
are you disappointed that the perception is still that, you have no teeth, that you're not going to be any different, that they might as well, victims of abuse from the press might as well go by lawyers because you can't do anything about it or won't do anything about it?
No, I'm not disappointed, nor am I surprised. It just strengthens my determination to show that we can do so.
Sir Alan added there had been a big delay following the Leveson report, while nothing happened apart from people arguing and shouting at each other about the way forward. A Conservative, Angie Bray, asked what happened now.
How long have you got to establish some credibility so that the public can feel that the whole future of the press is in good hands now, that can make the right decisions?
No, not long at all. It is incredibly urgent.
And Sir Alan told the committee that IPSO was receiving complaints regarding children, but no lawyer or court had yet identified a black and white answer on what respect for privacy meant.
Alicia McCarthy. Now, the Hillsborough tragedy.